Good morning, everyone. Jillian here from Super You with another installment of Tip Tuesdays with a little life hack for you. I'm all sweaty because I'm just back from my run. My new run clinic starting tonight is a timed run, so I'm bike support and timer, and so I wanted to get my workout in a little bit earlier today. So today, as I'm running, I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about today, and I thought I'd just let the spirits move me. And as I'm running, I've got my long run playlist I was listening to on Spotify, and one of the songs that had on shuffle. So I always love that because then you can never know what you're going to get. And the song that came up was Chumbawamba. I'm showing my age. Chumbawamba Tub Thumping, which yes, is a drinking song, but I never look at it like that. I love the message of the song. I mean, it's a drinking song and it takes me back, but what it's really, the message of it is I get knocked down and I get up again. And so it got me thinking about failure. And, I really have been looking at failure and how we as humans look at failure and how we respond to failure. And I see this all the time with clients, how, they struggle and they get really, really uber focused on the struggle or what they see as the failure. And I always say, that's watering your weeds. So let's not water our weeds. Let's water the plants that we want to nourish. So instead of focusing on the failures or the shortcomings or the things you didn't quite get right, kind of the false starts or the things that aren't going the way you want them, let's not put our intentions and our focus around those, and let's water the plants that we want to grow. And and keeping in mind too that we are, as humans, wired to evaluate failure. We're wired to, when things don't go right, we're wired to consider that. Because we want to look at how we don't do that again. And so I'm not saying you have to completely oh, here we go, dust myself off, here I go again. Sure, take a look at maybe do a little bit of an evaluation on how exactly that might have gone, if there's ways you could have changed that outcome and made it a different situation for yourself. Absolutely, I think that's a great piece of self-awareness. But I think also it's really important not to dwell. And so as I'm driving home from my run, the next little bit from the universe was that I'm listening to a book by Kristin Neff on Audible. And that's my new one. That was my last week's life hack? Audio in the car that's going to stimulate your brain. Oh my gosh, game changing. So I'm listening to, I'm not going to remember the exact title, but I'll put it in the comments. It's a book by Kristin Neff, who is an expert around self-compassion. And so she was talking about this beautiful exercise of finding self-compassion. And she had a really beautiful way of explaining self-compassion. Truly what it comes down to is, instead of being what I call the heckler in your head, instead of being that jerk that's being unkind and beating you up for what you've done or how you've handled something, that inner critic, which we all have, so don't beat yourself up about that. Don't be an inner critic about your inner critic. We all have it. It's actually very functional in a lot of ways, but it's a little overdriven. So you want to look at paring it back a little bit and being aware of it and noticing when it's kind of taking the reins, and looking at how you can bolster your self-compassion. It's that piece of, how would you be compassionate towards yourself? How would you speak to a friend? This is the example I always give to people is, how would you speak to a friend having the same struggle as you're having? Would you be using the unkind words that you might be using inside your head? Probably not. You'd be finding a lot more compassion, maybe even some empathy. You would be certainly kinder and softer. And so thinking about how you can bring that self-compassion piece when you struggle, when you fail, because you will, because we're humans. We're not wired to be perfect. We're not robots. So when you have those periods of struggle, this is your take-home message. Here's the exercise she did with us in the audiobook, which I had to kind of modify. I was driving. That's unsafe. But finding a way to show yourself a piece of compassion, of self-care, of self-love, which was as simple as hand to the heart, and then I'm holding my phone, so I can't do it with both hands, but stacking the hands over the heart and just feeling the warmth of your hands on your heart and reconnecting to to showing yourself some softness and some empathy and some kindness and compassion. And she gave this beautiful example, like, well, you know, what if I'm in a meeting and I can't really put my hands on my heart, even though maybe I really need some self-compassion, or I'm struggling and someone's being unkind to me and I need to show myself some comfort. How can I do that? And this beautiful example she gave was to cross your arms and give yourself a little squeeze and just have the intention of bringing yourself back, of showing yourself kindness, of showing yourself some love and care, and that intention of doing even just a simple hug of the arms to yourself gives yourself that intention, brings it back to that piece of self-care and that compassion. So I thought that was a really helpful tip. I'm going to totally use that myself. Might even weave it into a yoga class. I love the idea of that. So that is your Tip Tuesday life hack for today. When you fail, when you struggle, because you will, I love Brené Brown's quote, we are, as humans, we are wired for struggle. We are wired for difficulty. And it's all in how we approach it and the lens through which we view it. So try that little life hack the next time you're having a hard time. Hand to your heart and just intentionally give yourself some compassion, love, and kindness. And tell that inner heckler to go away, because they're not really being very helpful. All right, that's it for today. I gotta go shower. Otherwise, when I pick my kids up from school, they're gonna be like, Mom, really, you're smelly. All right. Have a fantastic day. Bye, guys.